IDE has been always very good programmer friends, but up until recently things started getting a little tricky. When I started programming, I was just using the text editor to write the code. I will have to wait until I finish up the code and compile it to check see if the code actually is of compile error free before even I could target the actual logic that I'm supposed to write. You guys might have been in a similar situation as well. When I got introduced to Microsoft Visual Studio, my first IDE, everything was easy. Like, I could just drag and drop things and then type in some code to wire things around. And when I started using NetBeans and Eclipse, I could see that you can manage the packages and have the project view wherein you can add and remove files easily. And when you try to create a new file, it gives you a bare minimum syntax that you might need to get started with. When you try to rename a file, it renames in every other file that you have the references to. When you try to refactor a function, you just select the piece of code, click on refactor, and then that spits out a new method which you could use it later on. And then later, when I started working professionally and making money writing code, I noticed this debug functionality and I was super happy about it, that I was able to see the data flow live through my eyes. That was like, wow. Then when you are doing Ant-Built, you will have to do it separately. And later on, when Maven got into the picture, it got integrated into the IDE and you were able to download the dependencies right then and there. And with a simple plugin configuration, I was able to set up the spacing for the whole project so that the formatting is correct. I could have code smell plugins or coverage plugins that is going to show me how much percentage of the code is covered in terms of test cases. And not to forget all the code searches and the file searches that we do on a day-to-day basis. The next thing was code completion. As soon as you start typing, it's gonna predict what you are trying to type next. That was super convenient. Profiling, managing environments. When using Visual Studio, that gets connected to the WSL environment wherein you're trying to run the code from the Linux box. What could a developer ask more for? So whatever I said is just the tip of the iceberg. I might have missed many more. But up until recently, we have this Google Code, Cloud Code, GitLab Duo, Copilot, and whatsoever. That's coming and people are claiming that it's going to be a code developer along with the developer trying to help developers write code even faster. I agree to a point. It's gonna write most of the code for the developers, but if you think about this, it might also replace the developers as well, isn't it? In which case, these IDEs might become even extinct, or they might be just like a super powerful agent with a little bit of IDEs functionality. I'm no one to predict the future. Being said, IntelliJ IDEA offers two main AI features. One is through its own Junie, and the other one is through the AI chat that it has. Junie is its own homegrown LLM item that helps to generate code. Wherein in case of AI chat, we can connect with the third-party providers like Claude or Gemini for that matter. The whole subscription part is taken care internally by the IDEA itself, so we do not have to externally specify or log in through those external providers or the third party providers when using AI chat. With AI chat, we also have flexibility to use local LLM using Ollama or LM Studio. Note that they are in the experimental mode right now. Alternatively, we can use plugins such as Google Gemini code plugin, wherein we will have to explicitly specify the login and then have the connection to it, or using the API key to have it connected. Being said that, let's try to compare the IntelliJ IDEA Junie with the AI chat that the IDEA provides, along with the extra plugin Gemini Code Assist. I have the IntelliJ IDEA Workspace, Workspace. If you are not familiar with Workspace is similar to what we would have in the Eclipse world, wherein you can have different projects in it and then you can open close things so that if you are not using one of the projects, you can just close it. And if you do not see it here, what you would need to do is, like, you will have to have the plugin installed. Go to settings, search for plugin, should be Workspace. So multi-project Workspace. Once you have this thing, then you are all set to get started with the Workspace. I already have a project here, and then we will try to type in the query or like the prompt. Let's get started with AI. When we have this AI chat, we also have like the different models. These are the LLM models that we can use particular portal. So in this case, I'm connected to the Claude, right? So let's type in, asking it to create a Spring Boot project for employee management with their info such as name, address, age, description, designation, department, with CRUD operation integrated with MySQL database. Let's see, we will flip this to edit and then see if it is trying to create or not. It's trying to generate the answer. Looks like it is updating. It's updating the readme. Let's wait for a little bit. It's writing those operations, and then let's accept all. So it has created within the Workspace files. Since I'm having a different folder structure, so I'm just importing it back again. I'll go in here, this project, and then click on POM, and then click OK. That should import the generated employee management. Okay, so this has generated. Now let's take a look at the code. It has JPA web validation. I believe it doesn't have the Docker file in here. Okay, connecting to the MS SQL server. Okay, so it has the controller. It has the get mapping endpoint, post mapping endpoint, update endpoint, and the delete endpoint. It also has the one for the department. So it has error details, global exception handler. That's nice. It also has the model. It's treating this as an entity. Let's check, see if it is flipping the entity or okay. So it's passing back the entity in the controller. Okay. It's not converting this to a DTO when it spits out. So it's creating an implementation class. Okay. And then it has the JPA repository down in here. That's cool. If we try to start this application, probably it should throw an error by now. That could be because it does not have the database, right? So I don't have the database running, so it might throw an error. Let's see. Yep, I think so. The connection's refused, and that's what we anticipated. So yep, the Claude has failed with the AI chat. I would like to repeat the same experiment with Junie. Let's copy paste the same question down here, what it is about to generate. Okay, unlike the AI chat, I think I will have to acknowledge at every step. Well, it has completed it. So similar to how it has created the same structure, it has controllers, designation, it looks the same, employee, repository looks the same, service, it's spitting out the same employee, and it's not converting that into a DTO. So on top of this, it has port, JDBC connection, and sort of login levels, application pro. Okay, so it has also the profile. So it has also created some tests. I try to import this as similar to what we did in the other case, and then see if we could run it. This should go away. Yes, and then it's giving the same error similar to what we encountered previously. No surprise. If I had asked it to use the Docker and run the MySQL, it might have ran, but I did not. But at the same time, when the error throws up, the user should be in a situation wherein he could understand the error to ask the next question. If not, at least he should be able to post that error that he has in the prompt to understand what the error is. This is going to be an interesting way of how people would start programming down the line. I try to run the same thing with Gemini Code Assist, and it is trying to print the result as if it would try to print in the Chrome browser. But also here you do not see that it is not good enough, that it determines that I might need a MySQL server, so it did not specify that in the Docker. So all these LLMs I think are thinking that I might have the server running, which is interesting. But to have this running, I might need to manually copy this code and then paste it here to have it working. Which kind of works even in case like you are just touching 2 or 3 files, but it might not be efficient enough if you are doing things in bulk. Now let's try the same with local LLM using Ollama and the AI chat just by flipping the LLM model. To do that, I'm just going to start the Ollama Docker container here, which I already have. So right now this is running on port 3000. Ideally it would run on 11434. That's within the Docker container, and it's mapped to my host machine that's and exposed on port 3000. Now I would go into the settings, go check AI. It's gonna show up AI assistance, and then the model you will have to enable the Ollama. If you are using LM Studio and exposing it, you will have to enable this. Then I can flip the local models down in here. Let me run with Llama 3.2 and run the same question. In this case I'm still the edit functionality, and if you see again, like the edit is still a beta, it might not work like seamlessly yet. But now let's go back and check, see what's happening in the Docker right now. Okay, see it's buffering up. I'm still running on GPU. It's gonna take some time. This has been the least consistent so far. It works pretty well for small queries, but if you are trying to ask it to generate a project, then it struggles. So if you see that it got changed from edit to chat, and then it's trying to type in the data back. And it also depends upon the bandwidth of your machine and then the video card that you have. I wouldn't be comfortable going with this approach unless it's either a small query that it could easily answer, or I have a even bigger graphics card that could efficiently process this data. If I were to choose from these four, I would prefer using Junie or the AI chat with the cloud option. If at all, if I'm doing a smaller task, I would go with Google Gemini. And if you are working on a project that is sensitive, and if you do not want to share the project's information on the cloud, then that's when you might need to think about using a local LLM. But if you have a good enough bandwidth in the card to consume large number of tokens for your context window, then you should be all set for running this in your local. After using it for quite some time, I feel like once it gets hands-on into the coding, it will do a lot of coding, in which case we will have enough time to get the big picture or like the overview picture of how the application should behave. This also puts the junior devs into a position wherein they don't have to reach out to the senior devs all the time, wherein they can go figure things out on their own, which kind of bridges the gap between the senior devs and the junior devs. Tasks like writing edge test cases, writing the regular test cases, writing documentation, upgrading a certain library to the newest version, figuring out the new syntax that we might not be aware of. So those are the items that it can clearly tackle. Not to forget like fixing the vulnerabilities as well. With these things acting as a virtual companion, trying to review code, write code for you, deploy artifacts and projects. What do you think about these AI tools? Post your thoughts in the comment box below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.